66 Trop Arctic Motor Oil meet or exceed new car makers' warranty requirements. Phillips 66 Trop Arctic Motor Oils are a blend of high-quality base oils and selected additives that give you a premium quality all-season motor oil. Available at Phillips 66 stations near you. Phillips 66 products distributed by Griffin Oil Company, 511 South John Street, Goldsboro.
The clouds made their exit overnight, and drier, more pleasant air is filtering into the region, which sets us up for a Great Lake week forecast. The forecast for today, plenty of sunshine today. Across the region, we'll call it partly cloudy skies, high temperatures of 82 to 87. Fair to partly cloudy tonight and moonlit skies, low temperatures of 61 to 66. Then for Friday, mostly sunny, maybe just a few fair weather cumulus clouds around, and we'll have lower humidities, high temperatures of 83 to 88. I'm meteorologist George Bridgers in the Weather Center.
Here's more words that will be in the WGBR Spelling Contest September 14th at Berkeley Mall. The word for the 5th and 6th grade level is naturalization. The word for the 7th and 8th grade level is boisterous. The word for the 9th and 10th grade level is sheriff. And the word for the 11th and 12th grade level is desecrate. Listen for more words and good luck from 1150 WGBR.
Remember if it was the Scar that was a source that the New York Times used, or if it was the National Requirer, or the Globe, or the Examiner. I don't know, but one of those tabloids, yeah, it was when the William Smenity Kip Williams. I had too good a time last night. I don't know about you people. William Kennedy Smith case. Remember, some tabloid published the name of that woman that was bringing charges against him, and New York Times. Well, if they ran it, we can go ahead and run it too. So, I don't know, they may now be an accredited source. Journalism's got today. Hey, folks, Rush Limbaugh here on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Howdy.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America, the way it ought to be. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Hey, my friends, greetings to you. Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. I must tell you, I like Al Gore's version of the Macarena, whatever it is, the best. The way he did it is the way it ought to be done all the time. Here's our telephone number, 800-282-2882. I saw all of those senators, the female senators. This was Patty Murray, Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer. Who else was up there? Barbara Mikulski, and can't remember. There was one. Charlie's Angels. It wasn't. But there they all were, ladies and gentlemen, last night. And I must tell you, I followed through on my promise. I didn't watch it last night. I got home, Marta and I got home, we went into the media room, turned on the TV at about midnight, and watched some videotaped highlights, and got up extra early today, and hit the office extra early, and began to download transcripts and so forth. So I was right. I'm just as prepared as had I watched it, and frankly, I'm probably better prepared because I'm not as mad as I would otherwise be. I'm not as depressed as I would otherwise be. I'm not as angry as I otherwise would have been. From what I've been able to gather, this whole night last night was about the fact that the Republicans are going to kill people and that the Democrats are going to stop them from doing that. The Democrats are going to save us all, and the Republicans want to kill people, starve people, take away their medicine. Nothing changed. I want to get to the Gore speech first, since that's the one that everybody is talking about. Now, you all have heard, well, I don't know how many of you didn't watch it. But if you didn't, and if you don't, we have excerpts is the point. We're going to play a couple of key excerpts from the Gore speech, the 7-minute story about his sister. Now, we're going to play those first. And then after that, I have here a transcript of a speech that Al Gore made while he was running for president in the primaries in 1988. Now, his sister died at age 45 in 1984. So the transcript that I have here from then presidential candidate and Senator Gore is from 4 years after his sister passed away. Let's get to the first of our two excerpts of the Gore speech. Mike, hit cut one. This is about 50 seconds here, ladies and gentlemen. If you heard it, just refresh your memory. If you didn't hear it, listen carefully.
When I was a child, my family was attacked by an invisible force that was then considered harmless. My sister Nancy was older than me. There were only the two of us, and I loved her more than life itself. She started smoking when she was 13 years old. The connection between smoking and lung cancer had not yet been established. But years later, the cigarettes had taken their toll. It hurt very badly to watch her savaged by that terrible disease.
I have to tell you, if she was 45 and died in 84, at least a part of her life was spent with the full knowledge of the dangers posed by cigarette smoking. Don't forget, the Surgeon General warning was what, in the mid-60s? So that would have been when she was near or in her 20s. And apparently, what Vice President Al Gore wants us to believe is that everybody was powerless back then to do anything to stop it. The family couldn't do anything about it. It was all the tobacco company's fault. And his family and he had nothing at all to do with this. There was nothing they could have done to stop their sister, his sister, whom he loved dearly. Here is excerpt number 2, and this one runs almost 2 minutes long, and it will be the final one we'll play, and then I have the startling transcript of a speech he made 4 years after her birth.
All of us had tried to find whatever new treatment or new approach might help. But all I could do was to say back to her with all the gentleness in my heart, I love you. And then I knelt by her bed and held her hand. And in a very short time, her breathing became labored. And then she breathed her last breath. Tomorrow morning, another 13-year-old girl will start smoking. I love her too. 3,000 young people in America will start smoking tomorrow. 1,000 of them will die a death not unlike my sister's. And that is why, until I draw my last breath, I will pour my heart and soul into the cause of protecting our children from the dangers of smoking.
So, once again, the high point, if you can call it that, the high point of last night was a recounting of a terrible death. A death which resulted from individual choice, a death that was not murder. It's a downer, ladies and gentlemen, and it is just so typical of this convention. I saw the tears in the eyes of these delegates, and how many nights in a row have we seen tears evoked? It just illustrates that what they think they really have the best chance of doing is capturing your heart with emotions. They're not about ideas here. This is strictly an appeal to the emotions, and they're not above hypocritically attempting to get your emotions flowing freely. 4 years after Al Gore's sister died, he ran for president, This was 1988. He was in the primaries. And he went to North Carolina to campaign. And he said this: "Throughout most of my life, I raised tobacco. I want you to know that with my own hands, all of my life, I put it in the plant beds and transferred it. I have hoed it, I've dug in it, I've sprayed it, I've chopped it, I've shredded it, spiked it, put it in the barn, stripped it, and sold it." 4 years after his sister died this horrible death, Al Gore is wooing votes in a tobacco state by sharing his experience as a tobacco farmer. 4 years after his sister died, he is trying to capitalize on the tobacco vote in North Carolina by expressing his pride for his work in the field of tobacco farming. If he had felt about his sister's death as he expressed last night, then how could he go to North Carolina 4 years later and campaign for tobacco money and tobacco votes by stating so proudly his involvement in tobacco himself as a farmer? I've heard analysts say, in comparing Gore to Dole, well, Dole, you know, his sister died from tobacco, or a brother, somebody died, but he didn't stop taking tobacco money. He kept on taking tobacco money. When Al Gore's sister died, that changed Al Gore's life, and he stopped taking tobacco money. And I don't know who's saying this and how many grace years they're giving Al Gore to make that decision, but 4 years after this tragic death, this tragic loss, he's out there in North Carolina with his hands out. And he was begging for tobacco money, and he was begging for tobacco votes by singing his own praises as a tobacco farmer. Listen again. "Throughout most of my life, I raised tobacco. I want you to know that with my own hands, all of my life, I've put it in the plant beds and transferred it. I've hoed it, I've dug in it, I've sprayed it, I've chopped it, I've shredded it, spiked it, put it in the barn, stripped it, and sold it." A speech to North Carolina farmers. I just leave it up to you to decide, ladies and gentlemen, and ask yourself, and I'm not saying that he was insincere last night. Please do not infer that. I'm merely asking you once again to examine the tactic and the technique that's being used this week at the Democratic National Convention. This is a horrible country with horrible people like tobacco farmers and tobacco companies. This is a country where people are dying way too often, and unless we act fast, Republicans will kill even more. They want to take food in the form of school lunch away from kids. They want to have the Medicare system wither on the vine so Nana doesn't get her medicine. They want to make your water dirtier. They want to make your air dirtier. They want to strip the great institutions and natural resources of this country for the sake of tax breaks for the rich. They continue to paint a picture of destitution, despair, tumult, chaos, and abject poverty in this country. And they do it to tug at people's heartstrings. They do it to show how sensitive and caring they are. And yet, here is Al Gore 4 years after his tragic death of his sister, appealing for money and votes from tobacco farmers in North Carolina. So I simply ask you, does character matter here? Does character count? If it does, then you have to ask yourself, is there any hypocrisy here? And do you mind being appealed to in this way for your vote? If you don't mind being appealed to in this way, then there's nothing to be worried about. If, like our caller from Rio Linda yesterday, hey, look, we know Clinton's a con man, but he's our con man and he's our route to power. So we'll look the other way. If that's your attitude, then none of this is going to bother you. For those, though, who have higher standards, for those who would seek to lead the nation, for those who would seek to set the nation's agenda, for those who have higher standards, this has to be something that's questioned. This whole convention's approach has to be has to appear dubious and curious to people. Political party is about ideas. Political party should not be about dispiriting, depressing, and demoralizing the people of the country. It should be about just the opposite. And this convention hasn't been that. This convention gets more and more maudlin as the week goes on. I'm glad I didn't watch this thing. I didn't have to. I went out last night and I spent some time with my wife, whom I dearly love, as much as Al Gore loved his sister, and with some dear friends of ours who celebrated their 37th or 38th anniversary. And we just had a bang-up good old time. And we talked about the National Football League season coming up. And we talked about how fortunate we've all been in our lives. And we celebrated how much we have enjoyed getting to know one another and how important the people in our lives are that we love. And we couldn't wait for this day to come because it was a new day and all these great things that are possible in this country would be presented to us again. And I shudder to think how that evening could have been ruined if I'd have come home and actually watched a videotape of all this. My comments here are not even partisan, ladies and gentlemen. They're simply human. I just, frankly, don't want this view of my country. This is no different than these daytime sleaze talk shows who bring on every aberrant form of behavior you can find and say, this is normal, this is your neighbor, this is your country, and you'd better love these people. You'd better understand these people. And if you don't, you have no compassion. I didn't like the effect those talk shows had on the country when they were at their zenith. I don't like them now as they're fading away into wherever they're going. But where the talk shows in the daytime have vanished, the Democratic National Committee and its convention has picked it up. And frankly, my friends, I would suggest you not even watch any more of this. Your health is at stake. Your attitudes, your viewpoints, your future, your version of what life in America is all about, your hopes and aspirations are being challenged and assaulted every night by these people, all for the sake of empowering themselves so they can pass more laws that limit your freedoms even more, take more of your money to pass around to more of their friends to enrich themselves in power. We'll take a break and be back after this, my friends. Our phone number again is 800-282-2882. Please don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
My friends, listen up. For well over a year now, I've been telling you about CashGraph software. Today, many of you have decided to take control of your futures by starting a business. However, while potentially rewarding, owning a business is challenging. In the real world, the facts are that the vast majority of new businesses will fail within a few years. The tragedy is that most of these failures could have easily been prevented, and CashGraph can help you do that. Businesses based on hard work and good ideas also need solid management and excellent systems. I'm talking about access to the type of critical information necessary to make fast, well-informed decisions about the different facets of any business. Competition is tough. CashGraph enables you to concentrate on running your business, not your computer. CashGraph will provide you with the type of competitive advantage you're going to need to succeed. Now you can try CashGraph software risk-free. I've seen CashGraph work, my friends. I was impressed, and you will be too.
For a limited time, you can try CashGraph absolutely risk-free. Find out for yourself why Rush is so high on this incredible product. Try CashGraph for a full 30 days. If you're not convinced that CashGraph is what you've been looking for, we will refund 100% of the purchase price. You simply must take advantage of this offer. Pick up the phone right now and ask for CashGraph. You'll have a full 30 days to experience the CashGraph difference for yourself absolutely risk-free. Call to order now, 1-800-617-RUSH. That's 1-800-617-7874. Call now.
This is John Lewis with O'Berry & Lewis Insurance. I would like to thank the many people who have heard my radio ads and call me for assistance with your insurance needs. But some just listen and do nothing. They don't believe there's much difference in the cost for auto and homeowners insurance from one company to the next. But that's not right. It'll take less than 5 minutes to call or come in my office for a home, mobile home, auto, or watercraft insurance quote. This includes jet skis and ATVs. Just give us a try. O'Berry & Lewis Insurance. Call 735-1237 or stop in at 200 East Spruce Street, Goldsboro.
Is this your idea of labor? Not? Well, this is Berkeley Mall's idea of labor. Have fun and enjoy a special fireworks display at Berkeley Mall September 2nd at 9 p.m. ooh and ah to your heart's content. Plus, don't miss the extra special Labor Day sale September 1st through the 4th. Shop and save at Berkeley Mall this Labor Day and enjoy the fireworks this Monday at 9 p.m. at Berkeley Mall, just off the Highway 70 bypass, Berkeley Boulevard, Goldsboro.
The WGBR Trophies and Tributes High School Football Scoreboard premieres this Saturday morning on 1150 WGBR at 7:15 and again at 8:45. It's the High School Football Scoreboard being brought to you locally by Aiken Jones Lincoln Mercury and by Greg Foster State Farm Insurance. It's 7:15 and again at 8:45, where you'll get all the local, regional, and important state high school football scores. It's on 1150 WGBR with your host, Eddie Thomas. Join us right here for all the scores throughout the season. From the WGBR Community Affairs Desk, the Sunrise Kiwanis Club's 6th Annual Charity Super Bowl Golf Tournament is coming up at the Goldsboro Golf Club Thursday, September the 12th, with a shotgun start at 1 p.m. A final date for sign-up is September the 10th. Prizes will be awarded to the top 3 teams. For information, contact David Brantley at 735-9698. Hear what everybody's talking about. 1150 WGBR.
This is daytime radio, not daytime television. Rush Limbaugh with the highest standards in broadcasting. 800-282-2882. Those standards are met each day. Expectations of the audience met and surpassed every day. Phone number 800-282-2882. If you heard the beginning of the program, I was talking with the staff about what is this? What stupid tabloid is going? The Scar, the National Scar. The tabloid had an incredible story picked up today by the New York Post about Dick Morris, President's #1 advisor and strategist, and a hot, steamy affair he's been having for recent months with a call girl, a hooker, by the name of Sherry Rowlands. And the story was just incredible. I was asking these guys if they thought there's anything to it. Mr. Snerdley, there's nothing to it. It's a tabloid. I don't like this. Something about this smells. Dick Morris is resigning this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and that has some real serious consequences for the president. Morris is resigning obviously because of this story. Among the things alleged by the hooker, that they were having affairs, sleeping with each other in hotel rooms, that he had let her listen in when he called the president, listen in on phone conversations that Morris had with the president, that Morris had shared with this hooker the texts of Al Gore and Hillary's convention speeches, that he had told her military secrets, that things that very few people knew. One of the things he had passed on to her was about the life on Mars story, and a whole plethora of things. I mean, the New York Post today is filled with this, and the original source is the National Star. So now Dick Morris is expected to announce his resignation this afternoon. The reason this is important, aside from the details of the story, there is one reason, ladies and gentlemen, why Bill Clinton has come back from an approval rating of 39% following the November 1994 elections, and that reason is Dick Morris. Dick Morris is a Republican and a conservative, although he goes way back with Clinton to his gubernatorial days in Arkansas. But Dick Morris has run campaigns for Jesse Helms. He's run campaigns for Trent Lott. And recently, he's married to a woman in Connecticut, a lawyer, I believe is her name, or is her profession. Her name's Eileen McGann. And Morris is featured this week on the cover of Time magazine. He's being written about prominently. The cover of Time is, the headline is "The Man Who Has Clinton's Ear." If it weren't for Dick Morris, Bill Clinton wouldn't have signed the welfare reform bill. If it weren't for Dick Morris, Bill Clinton would not have co-opted any of these Republican issues as his own. Morris understood what was important to get the votes. Now, they say that the source for all this about Morris is this call girl. But with the prominence Morris has been getting and the fact that Stephanopoulos and McCurry and Harold Ickes have never liked him being around, because he's not a Democrat, you got to wonder who really leaked this story. But if they wanted Morris out, he's gone, and this is not good for Clinton.
If you still read the same old way you were taught in school, listen to this. When it comes to reading, your brain is like a Ferrari, and there's no speed limit. The Reading Genius Home Study course shows you how to read your favorite book in one evening. Instead of seeing words, you'll absorb what's on the page like it was one of your favorite movies. You'll read 200% fast or more guaranteed with Reading Genius. Try it risk-free for 60 days. Call 1-800-281-5808. That's 1-800-281-5808.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
For WGBR News, I'm Thomas Fick. North Carolina District 11 House candidate Phil Bedore has asked Governor Jim Hunt to join the tobacco industry's lawsuit against the Federal Drug Administration. Bedore says President Clinton and the FDA are wrong in their attempt to regulate nicotine as a drug. District 11 incumbent Lewis Pate, who Bedore is running against in November, says Bedore, in his attempt to stop this regulation, should take another route, endorsing Bob Dole for president. Pate says when Clinton is voted out of office, the attack on tobacco will stop. Senator John Carr of Wayne County says President Clinton's proposal to allow the Federal Drug Administration to regulate nicotine as a drug is a slap in the face to tobacco farmers and is definitely the wrong way to go to address the teenage smoking problems Clinton says the nation is facing. Carr says he has been very distressed about this, and he feels it's not right to call something a drug that has been a part of this culture and heritage for so many years. According to Carr, the tobacco industry currently has an estimated $1 billion effect on the North Carolina economy and employs an estimated 250,000 people annually. Carr says curbing the current teen smoking problem is definitely something that needs to be done, and those in North Carolina government want to address it. However, it needs to be done in a different way. Wayne County will continue to get assistance from prison inmates in tackling public jobs. Another 714 inmates will go to work soon as part of the governor's community work program, which has been praised by communities who use the free inmate labor. Keep Wayne County Beautiful Director Caroline Parker says many projects in the county that were hard to recruit volunteers for were done by prison inmates. Parker adds prison inmates have saved the county a lot of money as a result of them working on various projects. The new state budget provides for 51 crews of inmates to be added in the next year to the program that has put more than 1,000 inmates to work for North Carolina communities like Wayne. Prison managers plan to add job assignments at some minimum security prisons and expand it at others. Almost 70 employers, some from as far away as Missouri and Florida, will attend a job fair September 5th at the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base Officers Club. The job fair is sponsored by the Family Support Center's Career Focus program. Career Focus Manager Ollie Foster says the base is expecting a huge turnout, and the job fair will be very beneficial for the person seriously looking for a job and for those who may just be testing the job market waters. I'm Thomas Vick for WGBR News.
We've got an incredible afternoon on tap in the weather department as compared to the previous few days, and tomorrow looks even better. The forecast for this afternoon, plenty of sunshine around. We'll call it partly cloudy skies and high temperatures of 82 to 87. Then for tonight, fair to partly cloudy, moonlit skies overnight and low temperatures of 61 to 66. Then on Friday, mostly sunny skies and only a few fair weather cumulus clouds lingering around and high temperatures of 83 to 88. I'm meteorologist George Bridgers here in the Weather Center.
Being reported that Dick Morris, #1 Bill Clinton strategist and advisor, will resign this afternoon over a story that's in the New York Post today, originally reported by the National Star, that Dick Morris has been engaged in lewd activities with a call girl, a hooker, by the name of Sherry Rowlands. In addition to other things that I've mentioned, that he... It is just, in fact, the story alleges that she's the source, that she kept diaries, she kept tapes of all this stuff. On the night of August 22nd, while Morris was preparing for the convention, Rowlands claimed that she was handed a copy of a speech Hillary Rodham Clinton would deliver. Morris asked her if she'd like to read it. That same night, Morris also read her Gore's full speech and disclosed still unannounced details of Clinton's offensive against the tobacco industry. Early last month, Morris reportedly told this call girl about a military secret that only 7 people in the world knew about. That's the Life on Mars business. And Morris also told Sherry Rowlands that he would love to have an affair with Hillary Clinton if she wasn't married. He confided that that he nicknamed Hillary the Twister because of her knack for stirring up trouble, and he dubbed the president the monster for his alleged temper tantrums. Now, Mr. Snerdley, wasn't it just yesterday or a couple of days ago somebody in the State Department resigned because they were having an affair or had gotten out? Some low-level deputy. Well, and now Dick Morris because of this. My question is, why? Why resign? This isn't any big deal. If it's no big deal for the President of the United States to have done this stuff, why is it any big deal for his advisors to do it? I thought character didn't count, ladies and gentlemen. Why did that guy at the State Department say, no mas, I'm out of here? Why did Dick Morris choose to resign? Why was he forced out? Why did he do? That's so odd. What did he do here that's so unique in this administration? What's Dick Morris done that is so bad? Especially to those of you who say character doesn't matter, that it's the issues that count. Well, here's the issues guy. Dick Morris is the issues guy. Now, I'll tell you who's happier than hell today right now is James Carville. Happy, I guarantee you. Look for Carville on TV tonight. You're going to see a Cajun beam like you haven't seen a Cajun beam. And you are going to see Stephanopoulos with a new spring in his step. And Harold Ickes, he'll be showing up. And it'll be very interesting if Morris actually vacates. I mean, he'll leave, but will he suspend communications with Clinton? Let me tell you something, folks. And this has got to bug Carville, and it has to bug Stephanopoulos. It has to bug Harold Ickes. Clinton wouldn't be where he is without Morris. Morris is the architect of this recovery from that 39% approval rating that Clinton had after the November elections. Ickes couldn't have gotten him back here. Harold Ickes is no more than Maxine Waters and Mario Cuomo and Jesse Jackson all rolled into one package. Stephanopoulos, the same thing. What Carville would have done had he been number one was keep focusing on the economy again. But there wouldn't have been any of this welfare reform business. There wouldn't have been the tactics on delaying the budget and vetoing certain things in the budget. I guarantee you that I'm wondering if this hooker actually is the leaker on this. The National Scar says so. But you have to wonder at this level. They play for keeps like you don't know how keeps is played. And I think that for the president to suggest that he's not going to be talking to Dick Morris anymore is a bit of a stretch, too. I mean, there are phone lines, and there are probably secure phone lines. And if that does happen, then these guys in the White House are going to be even more upset. But all indications are it's a hooker that broke this. The hooker was tired of the pressure. She didn't like having all this information. She knew it was going to break at some point, didn't want to wait around for it, wanted to control it as best she could. Now let's get back to the, I'll tell you what I was going to do, and we're going to do it in a minute. I want to get to another area of Al Gore's speech last night in which he really tore after Republicans, something Bill Clinton said that they wouldn't do at this convention. But I've got some people on hold who want to comment on Gore's speech about his sister. Let's grab those people now. Cellular call from Vero Beach, Florida. This is Chuck. Chuck, I'm glad you waited. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, ditto's Rush from Vero Beach, Florida.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
One thing I noticed about that speech, I thought it was terrible that he used his dead sister for political gain, but if you looked at his face and his eyes when he was saying this, there was no watering of the eyes. There were no tears in his eyes, yet his own parents were crying and people in the crowd were crying, but not him. He just had this austere look about him.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. He's a tough guy. You know, tough guys don't cry.
Yeah, well, he would have been, in other words, he went from the vituperative attitude he had toward Dole, and then he changed his mood, and it was his voice. He was trying to make himself sound like he was crying. Or he was really upset. But
so what are you saying here, Chuck? Are you saying that you detected some phoniness here? And
I sure did, just like the whole administration.
Well, interesting, my friends. Not a whole lot of sympathy there in that call. Here's Peter in Madison, Wisconsin. You're next, sir, on the Rush Limbaugh program. Hello.
Hello, how are you,
Pretty good.
Rush?
Pretty good.
I just wanted to say that I think that Al Gore is a very good person to have as vice president of this country, and I think Clinton is even better to have as president of this country, and I think that they're going to get another 4 years. The thing that the conservatives have to look forward to is once Clinton gets elected, everybody's going to start arguing, and you're going to have Jesse Jackson kind of coming up with a different tune among other liberals in the party. They're not going to get along that well, but I think his...
May not take that long. Have you heard about what Pete Wilson did out in California with Prop 187 and the welfare reform bill?
I heard something. I don't know the details.
Well, what he did basically was invoke 187 all over again. He ordered state agencies to immediately stop any payments whatsoever to illegal immigrants or their children because President Clinton signed a welfare reform bill, and the welfare reform bill gives him the right to do that. Now, I guarantee you that the California liberal delegation is going to be outraged. This is just another thing Clinton's going to have to fix. This is going to be a tough coalition to hold together between now and the election. Moynihan's out there saying they're not going to change anything. Don't you think they can't change it? This is too complicated. They're not going to be able to change. Moynihan's telling these delegates, you guys better live with this because this bill is it. This is law now, and they're not going to change it.
I read in today's Wall Street Journal Al Hunt's column, and he was speaking of how the Welfare Reform Act, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be kind of like the tax cuts that were done in '81 with Reagan, and how they spent 11 years trying to get over it, and the welfare reform bill is going to be the same for the Democrats.
Well, that's an interesting, because generally Mr. Hunt is a White House mouthpiece.
Yes, and that's why I like him.
Well, to each his own.
right. And
well, Peter, I'm glad you called. Thanks much. I will agree with you. I think Al Gore's a nice guy. In general description, he was very mean and vicious last night when it came to us and the Republicans, despite the fact that the president said that wasn't going to happen. But on balance, I think Al Gore is, at least his public persona is just a nice guy. And I'm not gonna get into any of that. That is not necessary here. Whether he's a good guy or a nice guy, or whether he's this or that is not the point. I do think that what he has done here with his sister, though, is I think it illustrates just how empty their little idea bag is. I think, ladies and gentlemen, to have to stoop every night, they have stooped to a lower level. Every night they continue to see the worst about this country, and now they're going after people's hearts with this dispiriting negative approach, and it's just, to me, something it's not American what these people are doing. I'm not talking about in a patriotic sense, but this is not. You talk about the vision and the ideas that will take this country into the 21st century. I just want you to ask yourself one thing. Could the founding fathers of this country ever built this country with the attitudes you've seen on display at this convention this week? And I dare say, my friends, that it wouldn't have happened. And I don't think a successful business could be started and couldn't grow, and it couldn't prosper if you had people with attitudes like this running it. And these people are in charge of a tremendous number of institutions that are every bit as powerful, if not more so, than corporations. And I'm going to illustrate that later today, too. The National Education Association is more powerful than your average corporation, ladies and gentlemen. And it is more powerful in the sense of denying you, the parents of America, freedom and choice. It's astounding how powerful this union is, far more powerful than your average corporation. And it's run by people like you've seen on display at this convention. Now, these are the kind of, these people saying, when we look out at America, this is what we see. And this is what they're teaching your kids. You've heard the stories. Little Johnny comes home to third grade, and Mom says, "What'd you learn, Johnny?" Johnny says, "They told me that if Dad gets fired, we're going to be homeless. Or they told me that we're destroying the rainforest and that we're all going to die, that there's no ozone up there. We're all going to get skin cancer and die in 5 years unless something's done." Meanwhile, Johnny doesn't know where the rainforest is or what ozone even is because he can't read. Because his mind's being filled with all this negative pap that's got kids scared to death. No wonder kids at 15 don't think they're going to live to be 25. Why would you if you listen? How long do you think you're going to live listening to this bunch of people in Chicago these past 3 nights? How long do you think how happy do you think you can be? What kind of success and achievement do you think's out there and possible for you after listening to these people? It's just incredible. And I would say this. Ladies and gentlemen, there's been a phrase that's been bandied about at this convention throughout. And it's called, "It takes a village." And I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to suggest a change and something that's far more relevant and far more powerful than "it takes a village." It takes an indictment. Only one. It's a Rush Limbaugh program. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Hello, my friends. Well-known chainsaw expert Rush Limbaugh here with great news from Poland, the leader in chainsaws for 50 years, and they're still growing. And you know what that says about them? It says that the Poland people know what they're doing. Now, let me tell you about their latest product. It's the new Poland Woodsman Chainsaw, and it offers professional features for the weekend cutter at consumer prices. The Woodsman has more features per dollar, and it's more powerful and cuts faster than any of its competitors. The Poland Woodsman Chainsaw is ruggedly built for durability. It's got a large volume muffler. It comes fully assembled, too. You don't have to put it together. The Woodsman has a fuel primer for easy starting, and because of its side handle spacing and low vibration, it's comfortable to operate. This, my friends, is a great piece of equipment. Take it from one who knows and loves chainsaws. Timber! So whether you enjoy using a chainsaw for the recreational benefits or if you just want to go out and cut some firewood with a big smile on your face, go see and get the Poland Woodsman. Now, why should you get the Poland Woodsman? Because it's the best.
There are super summer savings now at Barnes Jewelers. Barnes now offers savings to 50% off diamond jewelry, up to half price off 10 and 14 karat gold jewelry, and 10 to 50% off watches. These savings and more, along with the best jewelry repair service in Eastern Carolina. Barnes Jewelers, 502B Eastgate Drive, Goldsboro.
For special people, give something special from Barnes Jewelers.
Nobody sells new cars for less, period. Nobody sells for less than Courtesy Buick, GMC Truck, Honda, Mercedes in Goldsboro. How would you like to drive home a brand new Honda Accord LX fully equipped for only $195 per month? You can at Courtesy, $195 per month for a fully equipped Honda Accord LX. Call 1-800-672-5864 for complete details on this 24-month lease. Courtesy also has the popular Honda Passport, sale priced at only $18,995. Courtesy of Goldsboro has tremendous values on other new cars, like the Buick Skylark, fully equipped for only $13,989, or a new four-door Buick Century with automatic, air, stereo, and more for only $17,989. The world's best vehicles delivered by Eastern North Carolina's best dealership, with the pledge that nobody sells for less. Courtesy Buick, GMC Truck, Honda, Mercedes. Highway 70 bypass Goldsboro. Tax tag and dock fee extra. It's hard to stop a trade because every Trade XL 1200 Weathertron heat pump is designed, tested, and manufactured to last. Call your CP&L quality heat pump dealer, E.T. Farrell & Son of Mount Olive, and save on this heat pump. The Trade XL 1200 will run for years regardless of the weather. The compressor and coil are covered by Trade's 10-year manufacturer limited warranty, plus 2 years on all parts and labor. E.T. Farrell & Son of Mount Olive, serving Eastern North Carolina for over 50 years. Call 658-2971.
Lots of news and informational tidbits yet to come on the Rush Limbaugh program. In the monologue of the next hour, we'll play more excerpts from Al Gore's speech, illustrating that what President Clinton promised about no personal attacks and nothing, no snide remarks about Republicans will be made at this convention. We'll show that the president either didn't mean it, or that the people at the convention didn't hear him, or if they heard him, they didn't listen to him. We'll do all that in the next hour. Plus, there's all sorts of other news out there. And I want to spend more time going into this Pete Wilson thing out in California, too, because this has a potential to rock these people. Once they get out of Chicago and figure out what's happened, you got to wonder how much news is actually hitting these people there. Because they're in a dream world. No. They're having a nightmare. These people are having nightmares. How can you be happy if you're a delegate to this? The only thing can make you happy is if you're going through this convention thinking, man, America, we're just making them as miserable as we are, and that's going to make them vote for us. Lynn in Augusta, Georgia. It's a cellular phone call. Hello, and welcome to our program.
Rush, I love you.
Thank
but
you.
I'm going to go forward here quickly. I am so glad that somebody finally is keying in on the hypocrisy of Al Gore in the tobacco area. And I'll give you background. We have relatives in Tennessee. I've observed him for a number of years in his posturing in Tennessee. It is a tobacco state. He has heavily promoted the tobacco in that state. You pointed out brilliantly that he, revels in it when he needs to, wants to, when it's prudent. But the other thing I wanted to bring up hypocrisy-wise is he or is he not the individual who feels that the automobile is the bane of Western civilization?
In his book, Earth in the Balance, he said the automobile poses the greatest threat to civilization and mankind the world over, including nuclear weapons.
So tell me, why, as a senator, did he actively campaign to have an automobile plant placed in his state?
And why doesn't he go after automobiles the way he's going after tobacco? Are people not addicted to driving, maybe?
Absolutely, Rush. I have felt he is a hypocrite for an extended period of time. He loves to act as though he's a country boy born and bred in Tennessee. The man probably spent months of his life there, was educated other places, but when it's politically prudent, he's a country boy. And when it's not, it isn't. And
well, his father